Volin, of course, the senior NFL writer for the Boston Globe, he'll be at the Dolphins-Patriots game Sunday night in rainy Boston. But I want to start there, Ben. I'm imagining, are you guys in like 24/7 news coverage of Hurricane Lee, and how is this weather going to affect the New England area and the game Sunday night? What's a play weather person for us?
Maybe I'm just living in my sports-filled bubble here and just oblivious to the outside world, but it doesn't seem like anything that crazy is going on here in the Boston area. I know we're kind of looking at this hurricane. I think it's supposed to be bad, like on the Cape and Nantucket and kind of like way out east. But I think it's only supposed to it's supposed to pass us by, and I think it's supposed to be rainy and a little windy tomorrow. But I don't think it's going to be that bad. I wonder if the Dolphins, if their travel plans get affected a little bit, because usually for a Sunday game, you fly up on Saturday, and I imagine the flights could be a little messy tomorrow. But I don't think this hurricane is really having that much effect on us here.
And Ben, almost with the weather, it seems like it'd be a running game. But last week, it blew my mind when I looked it up. Mac Jones threw the ball 54 times. I don't think that's a menu for success, a recipe for success there in New England. Do you think that's going to change here on Sunday?
I think that was situational. They fell behind 16-0 to the Eagles, so you probably have to start throwing the ball a little bit more when you trail like that. And then the Eagles have such a good defensive front. I don't know if you want to run into a brick wall like that over and over. And then, of course, the Patriots had a bunch of injuries on the offensive line, and they still do. They had their left tackle, Trent Brown, probably out with a concussion this week. Right tackle, the guy they started last week, he's dealing with a concussion. Everyone on the offensive line was on the injury report at some point this week, so not good on the offensive line. But that said, I thought the Chargers did kind of push the Dolphins front around a little bit. Austin Eckler was kind of gashing them right up the middle. Yeah. And with the weather, I think it's going to be okay on Sunday, but the field might be real soggy too. It does seem like it's going to be a slower game than what the Dolphins just had that track meet against the Chargers. So I do think even with some of the Patriots' issues on the offensive line, that they are going to try to establish the run a little bit more and just try to go downhill at the Dolphins.
That, I'm guessing, is part of what you wrote about. Ben's got an article in the Boston Globe titled, Tua Came Out Firing in Week 1. Here's what he and the Dolphins do well and how the Patriots can slow them down. So you had to – I'll start with Tua and the Dolphins. You had to be wildly impressed with what they looked like on Sunday.
I was pretty impressed with what they looked like on Sunday.
I tried to launch one up there for you. That was so easy for you to say yes, because everyone's wildly impressed, and you just couldn't do it, could you?
No, I can't. I'm a man of integrity, and my integrity is to just not be impressed by the Dolphins at all times. No, in all seriousness, I mean, yeah, obviously they put up a ton of points, and both touchdowns to Tyreek Hill were fantastic throws, especially the one in the touchdown, but also that 47-yard pass where he steps up in the pocket. Tua got away with a few in the first half, though. There's all this talk about the deep ball and 466. I mean, it's still somewhat of an issue for Tua. When he can step into his throw and put everything behind it, yeah, he definitely can throw a good deep ball, but he threw a few off his back foot. One of them was picked by J.C. Jackson. There were two others that easily could have been picked. He got away with a few. Let's not forget, I mean, the Chargers were right there at the end. If they convert third down in the red zone, could be a totally different game. The Chargers defense is dreadful. I mean, no one on the Patriots is likely going to have coverage breakdowns like J.C. Jackson did the other day. So I give props to the Dolphins for coming back there, but they were living on the edge of that game. It really could have gone either way. And again, it's most of their offense is catch and run, which is great. It's great play design. Tua is tremendously accurate in the short windows, 5 to 20 yards. But people crowing about 466, like it really is a lot of catch and run and scheme-based yards. It's not necessarily Tua just flinging it all over the field. So you got to love and respect the Dolphins.
You're insulting us, Ben. You're insulting us. How dare you? How dare you?
Don't take it personally, Hawk.
I hope Hurricane Lee takes out just your house, leaves the rest of Boston unscathed.
Little baby hurricane. Ben, do you come after Tua if you're Belichick? Because if you give him time, like watching the Charger game, you give him time, he's going to eat you up. Do you come after him and make him get it out quick?
No, I think that's a recipe for disaster. You bring the blitz, and if he gets it out quickly, man, there's no one back to tackle those guys. And that's when Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are scampering 70 yards through your secondary. So I would not bring the heat. I think the key for Tua is just not letting him roll to his left, because you look at his throw charts, and every time the pocket breaks down, he's always going to his left. And that's what a lot of quarterbacks do. They go to their dominant side, and he's very accurate when he's throwing on the run. He had a couple throws along the sideline where he really squeezed it in there while he was moving to his left. So I wouldn't bring extra pressure, but I would just bring pressure to that side and make him roll to his right and make him go against his body, because that's not something that he seems incredibly comfortable doing. And if you do bring pressure, it's got to be like zone blitz. It's got to be defensive linemen dropping off. It's still got to be only rushing 4, because you do not want to give all that space in the open field to those receivers.
Somebody texts in on the Kendall Toyota text line. I just tuned in. I can tell by the crap coming out of this guy's mouth, it's got to be Ben Volin. Am I right? Yes, you are right. It is Ben Volin from the Boston Globe. So here's what Aaron Rodgers had to say to Pat McAfee today. All I need is that little 1% extra of inspiration. Give me your doubts. Give me your prognostications, and then watch what I do. So it sounds like Aaron Rodgers is planning on coming back. Does that surprise you? Did you think that he was done?
No, I didn't think he was done. And I was there on Monday night, and oh my goodness, that was so heartbreaking. I just can't believe. I'm still in denial over the whole thing and just angry. I mean, I thought love Aaron Rodgers or hate Aaron Rodgers. It was going to be so fun to watch that thing unfold this year. And the fact that the Jets won that game, I think underscores how good of a team they have, for them to still beat Josh Allen and the Bills with all of that was going on the other night. But no, I mean, I can't. My first thought was there's no way Rodgers wants to go out like that, to end his career that way. An Achilles injury is tough, but you can come back from that. Your guy, Dan Marino, he came back from an Achilles and still played at a high level. Now, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, I'm no doctor. I can't imagine, maybe he might not have the exact same mobility and be able to make the off-schedule throws and things next year at 40 years old and coming off an Achilles. But I really don't have many doubts that he'll come back and play and still be at a high level, and he'll be very motivated. It's just the whole thing stinks, man. I mean, this was supposed to be the first year that he gets everything under his belt, and then if it didn't work out this year, it's, well, we can, run it back next year, and it's year 2, and now all that goes out the window. It's just a wasted season for everyone there. They're paying him $37 million basically to appear on 5 episodes of Hard Knocks. So the whole thing is just such a bummer for Rodgers and the Jets. And he'll be back, and hopefully, they can pick up where they left off this year. But I mean, this is like, I know there are worse injuries. This isn't life or death, but this is one of the worst injuries that the NFL has had, just as far as being a total buzzkill.
And Ben, to your point, man, they have to replace him. Zach Wilson is not going to do it. I've heard they were talking about Phillip Rivers, the Tom Brady, the old guys like they always do. Nick Foles, Carson Wentz are still out there. I've heard somebody say that they could trade for Matt Stafford. He's on the last year of his deal. They have to replace Aaron Rodgers with someone else to take this very talented team to where they should be, right?
Crowder, being that it's Rosh Hashanah weekend, I would also like to throw Josh Rosen's name in the mix. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Ben.
I thought you were going to say Sage Rosenfeld also. Yeah, and they definitely have to get someone, and not necessarily to take over for Zach Wilson right away, but because it's probably going to take a few weeks. But the way Zach Wilson plays, where he's a little erratic and doesn't have the pocket presence that a good quarterback has, I mean, an injury feels inevitable. Like the odds of him lasting 17 games just does not seem great. So they have to go get someone. And yeah, to me, it's got to be a veteran. Like Nick Foles, I think would be a great person to have, a guy who's won a Super Bowl. Hasn't played that well when he's not playing for Doug Peterson, but Nick Foles, Colt McCoy, Matt Ryan, another guy. He's with CBS right now. You don't have to trade for him. You just have to sign him. I think Matt Ryan makes a lot of sense. Phillip Rivers would be fascinating. We saw that story where the 49ers were going to call him up as their contingency plan to play in the Super Bowl. Maybe he can. I mean, that Jets team is super talented. So they should be able to convince someone. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he was asked about it the other day, and he didn't exactly say no. So they've got to get a veteran just because the odds of Zach Wilson lasting 17 games just seem slim, and you just need a quarterback who can check you into the right play and at least, play a competent quarterback position for you.
Let me bring up another quarterback before we run out of time. Crowder went a little viral, certainly in the Dallas area. Crowder was on CBS Sports Radio last night with Zach Gelb. And so, Crowder, you said what? The thing that's going to hold the Cowboys back is the fact that they're paying a ton of money for a quarterback, Dak Prescott, that's never going to win them anything.
He's never going to win a Super Bowl. It's like the Jets. Super talented roster, Hall of Famers all over the field. But we see Dak Prescott's going to see the 49ers at some point, and they're going to whoop his ass. We've seen it 2 years in a row.
You have been, pilloried in Dallas by their fan base on social media and the like.
Yeah, they're killing me right now, Hawk.
What's your take on Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, Ben?
I like Dak. I think it's too early to write him off. I mean, you've seen guys like Matt Stafford finally win his first Super Bowl well into his 30s. Dak, I think, definitely shoulders some of the blame for the way the last couple of seasons have ended. But, Channing, you say they pay him too much money, but it's not like it's preventing them from signing other players. They went out and got Brandon Cooks and Stephon Gilmore, and they have Micah Parsons. So it's not like they're paying Dak and not able to fill out the team around him. So I think Dak is someone that it's worth sticking with. And quarterbacks are hard to find. So, yeah, you might have questions about whether he can be a Super Bowl winner, but finding the next guy is not easy, as you guys are well aware. And I think, the Patriots might be finding out now with Mac Jones. So I know the money is getting unseemly, and I can't imagine Dak is going to surpass Joe Burrow's contract, but he's going to get a lot of money in his next deal. And, it's not going to prevent Jerry Jones from making other moves. So I think you just got to bite the bullet and pay Dak what his market bears and ride with him for a few more years, because I just think it's going to be too hard to find someone else to replace him.
Yeah. And also the Dallas Cowboy defense held the 49ers under 20 points 2 playoffs in a row now, and Dak couldn't get to 21. Like, I put all the context out there, but you know how social media is. They're going to cut it down and make you sound the worst. But another quarterback that underperformed, you talk about the Jets winning, Josh Allen. Ben, was Josh Allen's cheat code Brian Daboll? Because ever since Brian left, Josh Allen doesn't look like the MVP that people talk about.
Yeah, it's really starting to look that way, that Brian Daboll was the quarterback whisperer there. And it's funny. I mean, Ken Dorsey, he's stressing all the same things with Josh Allen. Let's be conservative. We'll take our shots only when they're there. We don't need to force it. We don't need to play hero ball. That's all they talked about during training camp. And then the first thing that happens is they come out and Josh Allen starts forcing throws, and he throws 3 picks against the Jets. And I just don't know if Ken Dorsey is a great calming influence on Josh Allen, especially in the heat of the moment. I mean, we saw that video last year of Dorsey absolutely flipping out in the coaching box. It may have been against the Dolphins. So yeah, I mean, it's a tough spot. I think the Bills are just feeling it right now, feeling the pressure. I think Sean McDermott, he takes over defensive play calling this year. I think he's feeling it. Josh Allen obviously feels like he's got to play hero ball. Weird stuff going on with Stephon Diggs, who's now upset that a Bills team reporter was caught with a hot mic saying stuff about him. They've had issues with Stephon Diggs all off season. And so there's just a lot going on with the Bills. I think they're still going to turn it around, but this is a huge year for them. And to come out in week 1 and play like that and to lose that game was an ominous sign for a team dealing with a lot of pressure this year.
Going back to Mac Jones, Ben, one of our old buddies, Mike Gesicki, is now one of his new targets. First time he's going to go up against the Miami Dolphins. What are the expectations for Gesicki? Not necessarily only in this game, but overall? Like, is he looked at as a major weapon? Because if you remember last year, he was almost an afterthought with the Miami Dolphins, despite all of us knowing that he is a very good receiver.
Yeah, I wouldn't call him an afterthought in New England, but I'd say he's the clear number 2 behind Hunter Henry. And it looks like Hunter Henry is really, I think, going to have a bounce back year and be Mac Jones' security blanket. He had 5 catches for 56 yards and a touchdown, a big catch on 4th down to keep a drive going. Gesicki did contribute 3 catches for 36 yards. He'll be involved in the red zone. You guys know he can make those contested catches. And he's really like just a big wide receiver more than a true tight end. So they're going to use him, and he'll be in some packages. But the expectations are lower for him here than they were in Miami. Maybe that'll be a good thing for everyone involved. We look at him, 3 catches for 36 yards. It's like, oh, that's a nice contribution from Gesicki. Whereas in past years, it'd be like, why isn't he doing more? So, he's going to be behind Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry, Ramondre Stevenson, probably Juju Smith-Schuster and some of these other guys in the passing game. But there's a role for him, and it wouldn't surprise me to see Gesicki come away with, 4 or 5 touchdown catches by the end of the year.
And being another weapon just added was Ezekiel Elliott. Can Zeke still play? I didn't watch the Patriot game, I'll be honest. Can Zeke still play ball?
Yeah, he still has a little bit of burst left in him. He averaged 4 yards per carry, caught the ball, actually had 5 catches, but for only 14 yards the other day. They used Ramondre Stevenson, I think, on a 2-to-1 basis. So Stevenson is still the guy, but there's a role for Zeke Elliott. And I think the Patriots like having 2 guys that they know they can use on all 3 downs. They can run them between the tackles. They can pass block, catch the ball out of the backfield. So it's not the same Zeke, but he's got a little bit of burst and power left in him. And as a guy playing 25 snaps a game, 30 snaps a game, I think that'll be a good role for him.
Ben Volin from the Boston Globe. Let's make a wager on Sunday night's game, me and you.
Sure. What do you want to bet?
All right. You're going to send me a box of Mike's pastry from Boston there if the Dolphins win. And I'll give you the 3 points. And if the Patriots cover the 3, I will send you some Tropa Chops from Pollo Tropical.
Ooh. We don't have Pollo Tropical up here,
and we don't have Mike's pastry here. We in?
There you go. And my if I made a bet with I used to live down in South Florida, so I still have a lot of friends down there, and they're pumping their chest about how Tua is the MVP favorite this year, and I think if Tua wins the MVP, I said I'd buy an Aqua Tua jersey also, and I'd wear it to the games on Sundays. So I got a lot at stake now with the Dolphins here.
All right. Well, start putting some money aside because you're going to need to buy that jersey at the end of the season. I don't have many questions about that. Ben Volin, hey, do yourself a favor. Bring your patio furniture in, okay? Don't take this hurricane lightly.
I appreciate that. And, we're going to have some tree branches maybe come down a little bit. So we're going to move the cars inside.
Listen, don't sneeze. Don't sneeze at this hurricane. I want you to take the precautions that are necessary.
Well, why is it that, of course, it's the Dolphins that come to town and have to bring you wouldn't think that we'd have a hurricane issue up here, but I guess the Dolphins coming to town, it's only appropriate, I guess.
I mean, Buffalo complains about the sun. You complain about the rain. I mean, these fan bases in the AFC East. Yeah, it's enough already. It's a little too cute. Ben Volin from the Boston Globe. Thanks, Ben.
See you guys.